Meanwhile, the Zimbabwean opposition party Citizens Coalition for Change says it won elections and not Zanu-PF. The country's Electoral Commission declared Emmerson Mnangagwa as the winner in the highly contested elections. But Chamisa's party is challenging the results, saying it's flawed. Let's speak to Farai Marapira. He is the Zanu-PF Director of Information and Publicity, and he joins us now live from Harare to respond to these claims. Mr. Marapira, thank you very much for your time here on ENCA. Just first of all, your response to Chamisa accusing Zanu-PF of electoral fraud and an electoral or ballot paper coup.
Well, he who alleges must prove. What we encourage Mr. Chamisa to do is to stop speaking rhetoric and start putting facts on the table. He cannot continually hold press conferences and continually say that he has been cheated out of an election. On the 24th of July, Mr. Chamisa was quoted by one of our private daily newspapers, The Newsday, stating that there is no way this election can be rigged. Now that he has lost the election that he himself said cannot be rigged, he now wants to allege that there's been rigging. So you find that there's a lot of confusion within the opposition circles. Opposition MPs are going online, they're celebrating their victories. How are they celebrating victories from a disputed and unreliable election? It is not making sense. There are so many conflicting messages coming from the opposition, which are simply exposing the level of confusion within their ranks. So in earnest, they should just bring out the evidence in a nutshell. If they've got any evidence, let them bring it out. Let them stop talking stories and continue on stories and stories. We need evidence. Let them bring it out and let the world see.
And what about, the fact that a lot of people who live in Zimbabwe, including journalists, etc., are saying compared to President Mnangagwa, Chamisa was not given the platform to be able to hold as many rallies as he wanted. He was limited.
That is a very, very stark lie or disinformation. Leading up to voting day, Zanu-PF were 96 rallies banned by the police. And they were banned for a number of reasons. There are reasons under MOPA, which is our law, for reasons for elections to be banned. We had 96 stopped by the police because sometimes those people surrounding the venue can say, we don't want this event to occur near us. It is their right at law. Or sometimes it can be a matter of having the venue been booked before. We've had this in Bindura and several other places where we couldn't get into a venue because the CCC had booked before us. But, when these things happen, we don't look at them as blockages. It is a process of law, and we appreciate it. They only had way less rallies banned by the police than us. But we're not crying about it because we understand that we have to work within the
And what about the
we have to respect the police when they are doing their work.
Sorry, I lost you there for a little bit, so I thought you were done with your previous response. I haven't heard Zanu-PF
Sorry, I think that was a glitch in the network.
I haven't heard Zanu-PF exactly dispute reports about late ballot papers, right? Some of them up to 12 hours late. And on top of that, the allegation that there was a strategic way, obviously also just tagging in the ZEC there, apparently a strategic way where the ballot papers did not arrive on time, particularly at CCC strongholds.
On that matter, on the very first day of voting, on which voting was intended to be done across the country and finished, more than 97% of polling stations voted. The polling stations that faced delays were not just in Harare alone. We had polling stations delayed in a place called Nyanga here in Zimbabwe. That's a rural area, you understand? So when the voting was delayed, the president issued a proclamation and declared the following day a voting day. So whatever challenges had been there on the first day, in less than 1% of the polling stations, was immediately cancelled and curtailed by that proclamation. So for less than 1% of a challenge to be declared as a complete marring of an election, it's a bit untoward.
What is the issue between Zimbabwe's Zanu-PF and the former president of Zambia, that's Nervous Mumba? He obviously chairs the observers for SADC. They said they don't endorse Zimbabwe's elections. They saying they were far from free and fair. And in the response that we saw, at least in South Africa, from Zanu-PF, is that Mumba is being biased against Zanu-PF and is more for Chamisa. Why is that?
Well, Nervous Mumba is a former vice president in Zambia, not a former president.
Vice president, yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, all right, yeah. So the issue there was we took exception at the observers remarking on issues of the law when they had come here to remark on the electoral process. And if you look at it, these are preliminary reports. So as Zanu-PF, we're not going to spend much time responding to it. We're going to wait for the final report. We assume that with this preliminary report, they might have been hurried and they might have done this before fully consulting all stakeholders, fully getting hold of all of the facts. So we're going to wait for the final report and then we'll duly give a full response on that at the time it is released.
All right. So already, though, you are already criticizing him, the vice president, the former vice president of Zambia. So already by saying that he is biased against you before they even conclude, like you're saying, and saying that you will respond later. But at the same time, you've already said that he's biased. How does that work?
Well, the leader of the delegation of the SADC Observer Mission is an individual. He's not the observer mission. And yes, we do we take exception at him because of his historicity with the politics of Zimbabwe as an individual. So that is where our differences as Zanu-PF are with him. But be that as it may, he is not, he's a fiduciary leader of the SADC Observer Mission. When the final report is out, we believe it will be with consultation of all countries. We are a voluntary member of SADC. We respect SADC a lot. We respect their opinions very, very much because these are our brothers. This is the community we live in. So, yeah, we'll just wait on the final report. We will not continue dwelling on differences that have come. What simply happened is they made a statement and we just made a comment on that. But of course, it has been blown out of the water to appear like it was a major kerfuffle, but it was not.
Talk to me about how close the results were. I mean 2,300, or rather 2 million, 2.3 million against 1.9 million. That is a very close, result. I'm sure you would say that it's just short of just a few hundred thousands compared to how the Zanu-PF would perform in previous years. When you look at that, are you concerned at all as Zanu-PF that the electorate in Zimbabwe seems to be shifting to a different trajectory compared to your promises?
Contrary to your assertion, as Zanu-PF, we've widened the margin. If you look at the results for 2018 and the results for these elections, as Zanu-PF, we have gotten more votes compared to 2018, and the opposition has received less. So, in our opinion, we are widening the gap. This is backed by our victories in urban centers like Mbare. This is like dead in the center of Harare, and these are bell ringer constituencies, which are reflecting that Zanu-PF is resurgent in urban areas, and we are very excited at our growth. There is no regression. We are progressing. The regression is on the part of the opposition, because even if you look at the figures, you'll find that we are leading by a margin of 53.6% to 44%, which is almost a 10% lead on the opposition. That is not a regression from 2018. That is a massive leap. And we're very excited about it, and it's spurring us to keep on working and developing our country.
What about the PR of Zanu-PF? I mean, I do see that in terms of numbers, under President Emmerson Mnangagwa, there's been a slight decrease in the unemployment rate, etc. But there are people who still see, the country as not doing enough, or the government of the day not doing enough for the people of Zimbabwe.
Indeed, our economy has had challenges historically. We still have challenges, but the honest truth is we've been setting the foundation in the past 5 years for the economy to be resurgent. A lot of infrastructural work, a lot of investment into the manufacturing industry. You look at 2018, 27% of the things on the shelves were Zimbabwean. The rest were to import. But now we're looking at upwards of 80% of the things on the shelves being manufactured in Zimbabwe. These are the signs that show that we are resuscitating our industry. A lot of work still needs to be done. That is why, as Zanu-PF were saying, look, these elections have been done. We are past them. We need to continue with the work of rebuilding our economy, ensuring that we create more jobs for our people, invite more investment, expand every economic sector so that we can give our people a better life, better salaries, and more jobs for everyone.